Hello there, and welcome. Tonight, we're going on a journey, one that begins the moment you close your eyes and imagine a world long gone. Before we begin, I invite you to do something simple. Take a slow breath in and let it go. Sink deeper into wherever you're lying. Let your body feel heavier with each passing moment, and let the quiet of this narration carry you gently back in time. If you enjoy these kinds of stories, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and tell me where in the world you're listening from. I always love seeing the little community we're building across oceans and time zones. Now let us travel together back to medieval England. Imagine it's the year 1300 and something. You're not a king, not a knight, not a noble draped in finery. No, you are a peasant, one of countless men and women who made up the very backbone of the medieval world. And tonight, you will live a day in their shoes. Your eyes open slowly, not to the glow of an alarm clock or the buzz of electricity, but to the dim, uncertain light of dawn seeping through a thatched roof. The first thing you feel is the straw beneath you, poking and scratching through the thin layer of cloth that separates you from it. It's not comfortable, not really, but it's what you've always known. Around you, your family stirs. Someone shifts beside you, your younger sibling perhaps, while in the far corner, your mother rocks a baby who fusses quietly. The room smells of smoke and damp wood, with a hint of livestock drifting in from outside. You're not alone here, not even in your bed. Privacy is a luxury you've never known. You push yourself up, and your feet touch the packed earth floor. It's cold, almost icy, and you wince a little before standing. Your breath fogs faintly in the chill. A few wooden bowls sit neatly stacked by the hearth, and a single iron pot hangs from its hook, blackened by years of use. This is your world. No paintings, no mirrors, no decorations. Just wood, earth, straw, and smoke. And yet, to you, it is home. Stepping outside, you pull open the rough wooden door. It creaks loudly, and suddenly the morning greets you with a rush of misty air. The village is small, just a cluster of huts like your own, each with a thin column of smoke rising weakly from its roof. Chickens scurry underfoot, pecking at the ground, and from the byre comes the unmistakable scent of cattle. Somewhere far away, a single church bell tolls. Its deep note rolls across the fields, reminding everyone who hears it that the day belongs to God and to the Lord of these lands. But before you can think of the fields or the church, there is the first and simplest ritual of the day, breaking the fast. Inside, your mother ladles out a thick, steaming pottage from last night's pot, barley, beans, maybe a shred of onion if the garden was kind. On the table sits a round of coarse bread, hard at the edges, but filling enough. Ale, weak and warm, is poured into a wooden cup to wash it down. There is no butter, no sugar, no feast, just the humble food that has kept your people alive for centuries. You chew slowly, each bite gritty with stone-ground flour, and yet it satisfies in its own plain way. Meals here are not about variety or indulgence. They are about survival. The rhythm of what you eat is set by the seasons. In summer, there are vegetables and fresh grains. In winter, dried beans, salted fish, and whatever the harvest spared. Hunger is never far from a peasant's table, and so every mouthful carries weight. You don't eat quickly, you eat gratefully. Once the bowls are empty and the last crust of bread is gone, there is no time to linger. The sun has risen higher, and with it comes the call of the fields. You step outside once more, and the world has changed. The mist begins to lift, revealing long strips of farmland stretching across the landscape. These are not your fields, not truly. They belong to the Lord of the manor, but it is your back, and those of your family, that will till them. You walk barefoot across the furrows, the soil clinging to your skin. In one season, you might plow with an ox pulling a heavy wooden plow, the reins rough in your hands as you guide it. In another, you sow seeds, scattering them by hand, while hoping the crows don't take too many. There are sheep to herd, cows to milk, weeds to pull, and ditches to dig. The work is endless, and there is no escaping it. The sun beats down in summer, and in winter the frost stiffens your fingers until you can hardly hold a tool. Yet this is life, steady and unchanging. The rhythm of labor binds the village together, each person doing their part or risking hunger for all. Still, the fields are not just a place of toil. They are a place of talk. As you work, you hear the jokes of neighbors, the gossip whispered between rows, the stories of births, marriages, and misfortunes. Hardship is easier when shared, and though you are bound by the land, you are also bound by each other. But always, above you, there is the shadow of authority. You are not free. Your land, your house, your very existence is tied to the will of the Lord. Each year, you owe him rent, sometimes in coin, more often in grain or livestock. You owe days of labor, known as corvée, when you must work his fields instead of your own. And above him sits the church, taking its tithe, 1/10 of everything you earn, demanded in the name of God. To resist is unthinkable. To disobey is dangerous. And yet, faith offers comfort too. The church bells mark the hours of your day. The priest offers hope of heaven when the toil of earth feels too heavy. You cross yourself before meals, whisper prayers before sleep, and live with one eye always fixed on eternity. Festivals break the monotony. Saints' days, holy feast, and processions fill the village with music and color, a brief escape from hardship. But fear lingers too. Fear of sin, of hellfire, of demons said to lurk in the dark. Your life is balanced between faith and fear, each shaping the other. Now and then, there comes a change of pace. Market day. You rise early, walking along muddy tracks toward a larger village or town. The world suddenly bursts into color. Stalls line the square, piled with goods. Saltfish, bright cloth, tools, pottery, even the rare exotic spice brought by distant merchants. The air is thick with the smell of roasted meat and the sound of bargaining voices. Children chase each other through the crowd. Dogs bark, and traders shout their prices. Here, you glimpse a wider world beyond your small hut. You might sell eggs or woven baskets, trade a little grain, or buy a trinket you'll treasure for years. And yet, even in the bustle of the market, the eyes of neighbors follow you. Everyone knows your name, your business, your life. Community is safety, but it is also a cage. As the day winds down, you return home. The sun dips low, casting the fields in golden light. Your body aches from work, your clothes smell of sweat and earth, and your stomach growls with hunger. Yet as night falls, a different rhythm begins. Families gather around their hearths. The single flame, a beacon in the dark. Bread is passed around, ale is poured, and stories begin. Tales of saints and miracles, of spirits and monsters, of kings and battles far away. Children listen wide-eyed, elders nod knowingly, and laughter sometimes fills the small hut despite the hardship. You stretch out once more on your straw bed, the warmth of the fire fading slowly. Your family breathes beside you, steady and soft. The door creaks as the wind pushes against it, but you are safe within. Your eyes grow heavy, and you realize that though your life is bound by labor, by duty, and by fear. It is also bound by love, by community, and by resilience. And so, as you drift to sleep tonight, let the world of medieval England settle around you like a heavy woolen cloak. Feel the weight of centuries, the rhythm of lives lived humbly, the quiet dignity of those who came before us. Rest now and dream, for tomorrow the bell will ring again, the fields will call, and the life of a peasant will begin anew. Hey there, and welcome. I'm glad you're here tonight. Before we begin our journey, let's take a slow breath together, in and out. Wherever you are, whether you've just settled into bed or you're lying back on the couch, I invite you to make yourself as comfortable as you can. Maybe pull the blanket a little higher, let your shoulders sink, and allow your mind to drift. If you like, leave a comment with where you're listening from and what time it is where you are. It's always wonderful to see how many of us are connected across the world. Now, imagine this. You open your eyes, not to the familiar glow of your bedroom ceiling, but to the dim interior of a canvas tent. The fabric walls ripple faintly in the morning wind, and the smell hits you first. Leather, sweat, smoke from the campfires outside. The air feels dry, dust clinging to your throat. From somewhere close by, you hear the rhythmic clang of a blacksmith hammering steel, each strike echoing like a heartbeat across the camp. And behind it all, low chanting, voices of priests intoning prayers in Latin. It is the 12th century, and you, somehow, have woken up in the heart of a crusader's camp. The straw beneath your head scratches your skin, and as you sit up, the rough woolen blanket slips from your shoulders. Outside, the camp stretches wide, tents of white and brown scattered across the earth, banners fluttering with crosses in red. Men are already awake, moving briskly, tending horses, sharpening blades. This is no dream. You are one of them, a knight. Beside your cot lies a suit of armor. At first glance, it looks like any other pile of metal, but as you reach for the coif of chainmail, you feel the weight. Hundreds of tiny rings, painstakingly linked, cold against your skin. Pulling it over your head is like stepping into another body, one that creaks and groans with every move. Then comes the padded gambeson, the linen stiff with sweat from battles past, laces tied snug against your chest. Leather straps tighten around your arms as a squire helps you fasten the steel plates that protect your shoulders. Piece by piece, the armor embraces you until you are no longer yourself, but a walking fortress of iron. And yet, under every buckle and rivet, there's a heaviness beyond the metal, the knowledge that every step forward today may be your last. Your sword hangs at your side, simple but deadly, its edge honed to a whisper. The shield, emblazoned with the symbol of the cross, feels like both a promise and a burden. When you lift it, your muscles strain, and you wonder how men fight for hours beneath such weight. Still, as the helmet lowers over your head, the narrow slit framing the world, a strange calm settles in. This is who you are here, a knight sworn to duty, to faith, and to war. Stepping outside, you find the other knights gathered, a brotherhood forged, not just of noble blood, but of shared hardship. Around a table, they break their fast, coarse bread torn with calloused hands, salted meat passed from one to another. Conversation hums in low voices, sometimes laughter cutting through, sometimes silence heavy with what is to come. You nod, and they nod back. No need for words. Honor and survival speak more loudly than chatter. You share prayers before eating, murmured in unison, each syllable part of a ritual that steadies the soul before battle. In these moments, even rivalry turns to brotherhood. You are all bound by the same vow, to fight and, if necessary, to die together. Then, the sudden blare of trumpets, horses snort and paw at the dirt, armored men scramble to mount, and the camp stirs into a storm of motion. Dust rises as boots strike the ground in unison. You swing into the saddle, the leather reins rough in your grip. Ahead, banners catch the wind, red and white snapping against the sky. The line begins to move, slowly at first, then faster, the thunder of hooves rolling like distant thunder across the Levantine plains. Fear creeps at the edges of your mind, but so does a strange exhilaration. For a heartbeat, you are carried by something larger than yourself, a tide of men, steel, and conviction. And then, the horizon shifts. Enemy standards rise in the distance, dark against the sunlit dust. Trumpets answer with shrill notes, arrows loose with a hiss, and the sky grows black with feathered death. You lower your shield, your heart pounding like a drum. The first clash rattles through your bones, iron striking iron, men crying out, horses screaming. You drive forward, the weight of your lance crashing into an enemy shield. Splinters fly. You are thrown into the chaos of hand-to-hand combat, sword against sword, faces twisted with rage and fear. The air is thick with smoke and dust, the copper tang of blood filling your nose. Each movement is a desperate dance between life and death, faith and fear. And then, silence, or something close to it. The battle ebbs, leaving groans and whimpers in its wake. You dismount, legs trembling, and walk among the fallen. Friends and foes alike lie scattered, eyes staring unblinking at the sky. You kneel by one of your brothers, his chest rising shallowly, his lips whispering prayers. You press your hand to his, but you know he will not see the dawn. And in that moment, survival feels less like victory and more like a question. What is left of the soul after so much blood? As the sun dips low, painting the sky in bruised shades of red and purple, the camp regathers. Fires are lit, their smoke curling upward into the dark. You sit among the knights once more, the crackle of flames filling the silence. Some speak quietly of the day, others simply stare into the embers. You find yourself reflecting not on glory, but on the fragility of it all. To be a knight here is not to be invincible. It is to be human, armored in steel, but exposed in heart. The night grows deeper, the stars cold and sharp above you. The fire warms your hands, your eyelids heavy. Around you, the murmurs fade into the soft rhythm of men slipping into uneasy sleep. And as you close your eyes, you wonder, was this world ever truly about faith, or simply survival? Take another slow breath now. Let your body soften into the mattress beneath you, your mind drifting like smoke into the dark. You are safe here, in this moment, safe to rest, safe to dream. Sleep well, Knight of the Crusades. Tomorrow will wait. Welcome, my friend. Tonight, I invite you to close your eyes and take a journey with me, back through time, far beyond the world we know today. Before we begin, take a deep breath. Let your shoulders relax. Let your hands sink gently into the sheets. And if you're listening in bed, allow yourself to get comfortable. This is your time to drift away. And while you listen, I'd love for you to leave a little note in the comments. Tell me where in the world you're listening from and what time of night it is. It's always fascinating to know who's sharing this moment across the globe. Now, imagine this. You open your eyes, but the air is heavy and filled with the smell of iron and dust. You're lying on a rough wooden bench, and somewhere nearby, You hear the faint clatter of chains, the shuffle of footsteps, and then, distant but growing, the roar of a crowd. It's not a polite cheer, but a rolling wave of voices, thousands of them, chanting, humming with excitement. You blink, sit up slowly, and the truth begins to dawn on you. You are not yourself, at least not anymore. You have woken up as a gladiator in ancient Rome. The first sensation is the heat. The Mediterranean sun spills through a grated window, carrying with it the faint tang of sweat and something metallic, blood, perhaps. The sound of voices grows closer. Someone rattles past, with shackles on their ankles, muttering under their breath. Another man, muscle-scarred and face-hardened, gives you a look, half warning, half welcome. In this world, you are neither free nor forgotten. You belong to the Ludus, the gladiators' training school, where discipline, strength, and survival are your only companions. Your mornings begin before the sun climbs high. A wooden sword is thrust into your hand, and you are taught to swing it until your arms ache and your lungs burn. The lanista, your master and trainer, watches with sharp eyes, correcting every stumble, punishing every mistake. Around you, the barracks are alive with men of all kinds, slaves taken from faraway provinces, prisoners of war, and even a few Romans who, strangely, chose this life for glory. Rivalries simmer, but so too does a brotherhood born of shared suffering. After all, each man knows that soon you may stand side by side or across from one another with real steel between you. The days stretch on, and as your strength grows, so too does your awareness of the tools of this trade. The first time you feel the weight of the helmet pressed over your head, the world goes dark and hot, your breath echoing against the iron faceplate. If you are trained as a mumio, you carry the heavy rectangular shield and short sword, your movements deliberate, your blows crushing. If you are a retiarius, you fight almost naked, nimble as the wind, armed with nothing more than a trident and a net. Mocked by some as weak, yet feared for the sudden strike of your weapon's reach. Each class of fighter has its role, each costume a part of Rome's grand theater. You are not just learning to fight, you are learning to perform. Then comes the morning of the games. The air in the barracks is tense, heavy with silence. Outside, you hear music and laughter. The city is alive, for today is a holiday. Crowds fill the streets, heading toward the Colosseum, dressed in bright colors, clutching bread and fruit. Soldiers arrive, forming a line to escort you and the others. As you step outside, the sun blinds you. People line the streets, cheering, jeering, pointing. Some throw flowers, others spit. To them, you are a spectacle, not a man. And then, the Colosseum rises before you. It is massive, towering, an ocean of stone and arches, filled with banners that ripple in the wind. As the gates creak open, a blinding light floods in. You step onto the sand, your feet sinking slightly into its warm grains, spread fresh to soak up blood. The sound is overwhelming, tens of thousands of voices crashing like waves against the stone. Somewhere above, the emperor himself sits in his box, watching with calm detachment, deciding your fate before you've even lifted a weapon. The fight begins with a clang of steel. Dust rises, catching in your throat as you stumble, block, swing. The crowd gasps with every near miss, every strike that lands. Pain is sharp, but adrenaline sharper still. To fall is to die, to win is to live, though survival is never guaranteed. Around you, other fights play out, some men staggering, some victorious, others lying still in the sand as the crowd roars. It is blood, yes, but it is also theater. Every movement is watched, judged, remembered. When the clash ends and you are still standing, your chest heaves, sweat dripping down your temples beneath the heavy helmet. You wait. The crowd screams, raising fists, some calling for mercy, others for death. You glance upward at the Emperor. His hand hovers, thumb poised. In that moment, your entire existence balances on a single gesture. If he spares you, you live to fight again. If not, you become another name lost to the sand. But whether you live or die, your story does not vanish. Gladiators, though slaves, became legends. Some were celebrated, painted on walls, even admired like heroes. Others faded quickly, their bones buried without fanfare. And yet, in the end, all carried the same strange legacy. Men who fought, not for country, not for family, but for the fleeting entertainment of a city that thrived on spectacle. Now, as you drift back from the sand of the arena to the quiet of your room, take a deep breath. The crowd fades, the sun softens, and the world of Rome melts into shadow. You are safe once more, wrapped in your sheets, listening to the calm of the present. Let your mind rest on what you've seen, dust and iron, fire and glory, and then let it go. Slowly, gently, allow yourself to sink deeper into your pillow. You have walked the path of the gladiator, but here, in your own world, there is no fight left to win. Only peace. So close your eyes, breathe deeply, and let sleep carry you. Tomorrow is another day, but tonight you rest. Hello, friend, and welcome. Before we travel together tonight, let me say how grateful I am that you're here. If you enjoy long, relaxing journeys into history like this one, be sure to like this video, subscribe, and let me know in the comments where you're listening from and what time it is there right now. It always amazes me to see people from so many corners of the world drifting together into these stories. Now, before we begin, let's take a moment. Take a long, slow breath in through your nose. Hold it gently. And let it out, soft and easy. Again, breathe in, fill your chest, and slowly let it go. Feel the blanket around you, warm against your skin. Let your body sink deeper into the bed. With each breath, feel your muscles soften. Your eyes grow heavy. Tonight, we're stepping back more than 1,000 years. To the rugged coastlines of Scandinavia, where you are about to awaken as a Viking farmer in the year 800 AD. The first sensation is smell. Smoke, heavy and earthy, clings to the air. There's also peat, damp wool, and the faint tang of salted fish. Your eyes flutter open to the dim glow of a hearth fire. You are lying inside a wooden longhouse, its beams blackened by decades of smoke. The fire in the center has burned all night, its embers glowing like red stars. The air is cold. So cold, you see the mist of your breath as you exhale. Outside, you hear life stirring, the low, steady moo of a cow, the impatient bleating of goats, the muffled grunts of pigs shifting in their pen. The northern chill presses through the walls, reminding you that here, every ember of heat must be guarded. You rise from a straw mattress, its texture scratchy against your hands. Beside you, your family stirs. Children rubbing sleep from their eyes. Your spouse pulling a cloak tighter around their shoulders. Everyone rises early here. Daylight is too precious to waste. You reach for your clothing. A tunic woven from coarse wool, rough against your skin but warm. You tie a leather belt at your waist, where a small knife hangs. Thick wool socks hug your legs, and leather shoes, tied with rawhide cords, cover your feet. A heavy sheepskin cloak settles on your shoulders, pressing down with its warmth. You are dressed like a Norse villager, practical, sturdy, ready for whatever the land demands. You step outside. The air bites at your cheeks, sharp and fresh. Frost sparkles on the roof, and the fjord lies before you, calm and gleaming beneath the rising sun. It is beautiful, but there is no time to linger. The animals are waiting. The goats bleat eagerly, pressing against the fence. Their breath clouds the air as you pour feed into the trough. One tugs at your cloak, stubborn and playful. You laugh softly, scratching its coarse fur before moving on. The pigs grunt, pushing their snouts into the mud, hungry and impatient. The cow swings its head toward the hay, nudging you firmly until you set it down. Every animal has its place in your survival. Milk, meat, hides, each is a gift, each a lifeline. When they are fed, you walk toward the fields. The soil is heavy with stones, stubborn and resistant, yet this is where life grows. You guide a wooden plow, pulled by oxen, through the damp earth. The oxen strain, their hooves pressing deep into the mud, their breath steaming in the chill air. Your muscles ache with every step, yet you find rhythm in the work. You scatter barley seeds, then oats, then rye, each falling softly into the furrows. This land is harsh, but with patience it yields just enough to sustain. By midday, hunger draws you back to the longhouse. Inside, warmth embraces you. A pot of stew simmers, cabbage, turnips, and dried fish mingling into a hearty meal. Smoke curls upward, slipping out through a small hole in the roof. Children play with carved toys of wood and bone, their laughter filling the smoky air. Your spouse works the loom, spinning wool into thread with steady, practiced hands. Life is humble, yet rich in its details. In winter, even the animals will share this hall with you, their warmth mingling with yours, making the longhouse a living shelter. After eating, you venture into the village. Homes dot the edge of the water, smoke rising from each roof. You carry a sack of grain to barter. A neighbor offers dried fish in exchange. Another honeycomb wrapped in wax. Barter is not only trade, it is trust. A promise honored builds reputation. A promise broken lingers like a scar. Sometimes you gather at the thing, the great assembly. Men stand in a circle, voices raised, disputes laid bare. Laws are spoken, oaths are sworn. It is loud, fiery at times, but beneath it all lies a bond. These are your people, bound not only by blood, but by honor. Above it all, the gods are watching. Thor, protector of storms. Freya, goddess of love and fertility. Odin, one-eyed, wise, the seeker of knowledge. Their presence shapes every moment. When you sow seeds, you whisper to Freya. When thunder cracks, you lift your eyes to Thor. Rituals mark the seasons, ale poured into the soil, feasts at midsummer, sacrifices in sacred groves. You live not alone, but in a world woven with gods, spirits, and fate. As night falls, stories rise. Around the fire, elders speak of raids across the sea. Longships slicing through waves, dragon-headed prows gleaming. Silver taken, songs sung, honor won. You've never raided yourself, yet you feel the pull. Raiding offers riches, but also danger. Farming offers steady toil, but also survival. For now, you remain by the land, your hands calloused, your heart steady. Later, you step outside once more. The fjord glimmers in twilight, calm and endless. The air smells of pine and salt. Behind you, laughter echoes from the longhouse, the warmth of kin carrying into the cold night. You sit upon a rock, gazing at the horizon, reflecting on your place in this world. Life as a Viking farmer is not easy. It is built from hardship, from faith, from kinship. Yet in every struggle, there is strength. In every day's labor, there is honor. Now, as you return to your own bed, far away from 800 A.D., let the rhythm of that life soften your thoughts. Hear the quiet lap of water against the fjord. Feel the glow of the hearth fire. Smell the smoke and the earth, grounding you. Close your eyes. Breathe deeply. Point. And drift. Tonight, you sleep not as yourself, but as a Viking farmer. Strong and steady beneath the northern sky. Good night. Hello, my friend. Welcome back. Before we begin tonight's journey, take a deep breath with me, in and out. Settle into your bed. Let your shoulders sink into the pillow and allow your mind to drift. As always, I'd love for you to leave a little note in the comments. Tell me where you're listening from and what time it is for you right now. It's always fascinating to see this community spread across the world, connected in the quiet hours. And of course, if you enjoy these time travel journeys, don't forget to subscribe and gently tap that like button. Now, close your eyes and imagine this. You fall asleep in your modern room, but when you wake, the air is thick with the scent of earth and clay. The sound of the Nile lapping against its banks drifts through an open doorway. You blink, and instead of painted plaster walls, you see rough mud bricks holding the weight of a simple roof. A faint glow of dawn filters through a crack, painting the room in pale gold. Somewhere nearby, a woman sings softly as she kneads dough. Her rhythm steady, comforting, timeless. This is your new reality. You are no longer yourself, but a servant in ancient Egypt, living under the shadow of a pharaoh. The floor beneath you is cool and dusty, and when you sit up, you feel a rush of desert air brushing your skin. A clay jar of water sits in the corner, cool to the touch. Outside, roosters crow, goats bleat, and the rising sun warms the edges of the horizon. You step out into the morning, and the world opens. Palm trees sway gently, and the endless Nile stretches like a ribbon of life. Beyond it, faint in the haze, stand monuments so tall they defy belief. Pyramids catching the first rays of sun, glowing like mountains carved by gods. But there's little time to marvel. A shout calls you back. Your duties begin. You take up a clay jug, and walk to the riverbank, feet sinking into damp soil. The water feels cold as you feel it, heavy when lifted onto your shoulder. Your arms ache, but there's no pause allowed. Back at the dwelling, you grind grain with a stone, pushing and pulling until your hands are dusted white, your muscles burning. The smell of fresh bread fills the air, warm and grounding. But you know most of it will never pass your lips. It will be carried into the palace, offered to someone who may never know your name. As the tasks continue, you learn quickly that service is built on silence and precision. Floors must be swept until they gleam with sanded smoothness. Vessels must be polished to catch the light. The smallest mistake, spilled oil, a late arrival, could mean a harsh word, or worse. Hierarchy is everything. Above you are overseers, above them scribes, and above them the Pharaoh, who walks as if he were a god upon the earth. And you are but a shadow in that towering order. Yet even shadows have form. When the morning duties are done, you prepare yourself. Clothing, appearance, presentation. You take a strip of linen, rough yet cool, and wrap it around your waist. The desert heat makes heavy garments unbearable, so simplicity rules. Your head is shaved clean to keep away lice, though it leaves your skin tender beneath the sun. A small jar of oil perfumes your skin with lotus, faint but sweet. A touch of dignity in a life of service. Each detail is symbolic, not vanity, but purity. To serve in the Pharaoh's household, you must look as if the gods themselves could inspect you at any moment. Soon, you are summoned toward the palace. The path is crowded with others, servants carrying baskets of figs, jars of wine, bolts of cloth. As you walk closer, the humble earth beneath your feet gives way to carved stone, smooth and echoing beneath your steps. Columns rise like forest trunks, painted with images of gods and kings. The air here is cooler, scented with incense drifting from bronze burners. The palace hums with energy. Scribes bent over papyrus, guards standing rigid with spears, dancers rehearsing movements for evening celebrations. For a moment, you feel both invisible and overwhelmed, caught between awe and fear. In the halls, rituals are constant. Offerings of food, honey, beer, and flowers are laid before altars. Servants bow, heads lowered, hands pressed to the floor. Each movement is rehearsed, sacred. You are reminded endlessly. The Pharaoh is not merely a ruler, but the bridge between the people and the gods. Every action is obedience, every gesture a vow of loyalty. Faith is duty, and duty is survival. And yet, amid the grandeur, your stomach grumbles. Food, too, tells a story. For the Pharaoh, meals arrive like rivers of abundance. Roasted ducks glistening with fat, honey dripping over figs, wine poured until the cups overflow. For you, the fare is humbler, coarse bread, pungent onions, a sip of watered beer. It fills the belly, but never dazzles the senses. Still, you share it with companions, laughing quietly when the overseers are not watching. Hunger is easier when endured together. Later, under the beating sun, your body becomes a tool for labor. You haul stones, you sweep vast courtyards, you carry messages through burning streets. Sweat slicks your skin, the smell of dust clings to your nostrils, and your back aches as if carved from stone itself. But there is also a strange camaraderie. A glance exchanged, a quiet joke whispered, a moment of shared relief when shade finally offers shelter. You are not alone, even in exhaustion. Then comes the moment of stillness, rare and unforgettable. Trumpets sound, the crowd hushes, and you see him, the Pharaoh himself, carried on a gilded throne, adorned with gold that glitters like the sun. His eyes sweep over the people, And though you are just one servant among hundreds, it feels as if his gaze pins you in place. Fear, awe, reverence, all strike at once. To look upon him is to feel both tiny and infinite, crushed and exalted, like the weight of the gods themselves has pressed against your chest. That night, as the world quiets, you sit with your fellow servants and whisper of deeper things, of Ma'at, the balance of truth and justice, of the afterlife where the heart will be weighed against a feather. You think of your own heart, heavy with labor, yet light with small kindnesses. You wonder if eternity will be kinder than the day you just endured. Finally, when the moon rises and the air cools, you retreat into the servants' quarters. The room is dim, filled with soft snores and the rustle of straw mats. The day's dust clings to your skin, but your body is too tired to care. Around you, others drift into dreams of fields, families, or perhaps of walking in paradise. You close your eyes, and the murmur of the Nile returns, steady and eternal. And here, my friend, I will leave you, in ancient Egypt, a servant in the house of Pharaoh, breathing the same air as gods and kings. As you drift now into your own dreams, let the sounds of the river and the soft glow of the moon carry you deeper into rest. Good night, and may your heart be lighter than a feather.